Feeling? Got to reflect some good energy up here, right? Everyone tired? I know a few people were up a little late last night, Mr. Pat. 3 a.m. Facebook post. Like, dang, dude. Okay, so my name is Chris Lee. I go by the QB. So a little reasoning for that is that Chris Lee is a pretty common name. There's a million of us, and I got to be able to differentiate. There are no Asian QBs, right? No, so the QB, it actually stands for the QB of life. I took on that persona several years ago. I used to coach high school football. I played quarterback my whole life. And then I coached high school football for 7 years. Went to a few state championships, won one. It was pretty fantastic. And anyways, so with that, there's certain principles and whatnot that I always taught my quarterbacks that were so important that applied to every aspect of life. Taking full ownership. Anything that happens on the field is your fault, right? You take full responsibility. The running back fumbles the ball, your fault. Receiver misses a catch, your fault, right? Lineman misses a block, your fault, right? We take full, complete ownership. And so those different principles, as I've applied them to life, have really helped me take things to the next level. So I'm the classic story of the guy that was, sitting in the crowd, right? So I, 2 years ago, started dabbling back into internet marketing. The majority of my background comes in the door knocking field. Now, whenever someone asks me, so what do you do? I always tell them, this is what I do. I'm getting emotional about it. So my family, first and foremost, I'm a father. I'm a husband. Like this is the reason I do everything, and it's what gives me direction. It's what pushed me through failures. It's what's pushed me through success. It's keeping me grounded. Just because. Money, fame, fortune, success, failure, whatnot, there's a lot of ups and downs in entrepreneurship, right? And unless you have something that really holds you grounded to where you're going, it's really all for naught. And this is me. This is my family. So my oldest, Addison, she's in the middle. She's 12. I have Caden, 10, Jocelyn, 7, Dylan's 5, and Bruin, he's 10 months. I'm about to turn a year, and this is my beautiful wife of almost 14 years. We were high school sweethearts. We met when we were sophomores in high school, and I knew the first time that I laid eyes on her, like, that is the woman that I want. And I grew up in a small town called Connell, Washington, 2,500 people. So I was, in our school, there was not fresh meat hardly ever. And man, sophomore year, my wife transfers into our school, and I'm like, whoa, like this is the woman I want. And it was like me against like 20 other dudes, we're like fighting over each other. And finally convinced her after about 2 weeks that I was the guy that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with. It wasn't necessarily that from the beginning, but that she would go out with me, right? Be my girlfriend. And through lots of ups and downs, I went and I served a mission for my church for 2 years, and then we got married 2.5 months after I came home off my mission when I was 21 years old. And so she's been really my anchor. That's held me close, held me tight. Kept me grounded, like I said, super focused on everything in my life. So little of my background. So recently I've had some really good success, right? So you see the ring on my finger. That's for doing over $10 million through ClickFunnels. Pretty awesome. So my business, Soul Gym Power, we did just over $25 million in sales our first 12 months in business. All of it was generated through online sales funnels, Facebook ads, YouTube, various different traffic forms that were being sent through funnels, in which we generated leads, went out, closed deals, and all that good stuff. A lot of people in our space talk about revenue, right? Revenue, really ain't a thing. It's profit margins, right? It's what do I keep? And so, at the end of the day, one thing I always like to tie to that number is like, by the way, we operate at a 35% profit margin, all right? So, which, there's a lot of posers in our space. Like, yeah, I did $100 million, or I did $1 million in revenue and 1.1 million in expenses. How many of you guys know somebody like that? Yeah, I know. Oh, geez. But so we've had a lot of success in the last year and a half in business, and really over the last 5 to 6 years, I've been able to be a part of several different organizations in which I've seen things expand rapidly. I was a part of a company, a top producer for them, that went from a $50 million buyout or valuation. They brought in some private equity, and in 4 years, they grew to a $2 billion sell-off to Blackstone. Okay, so we're talking a 40x multiple or multiplier over a period of 4 years. And while I was there, I saw a lot of things that I was like, man, they're doing these things right? And so I saw that, and then next, I went and I helped a buddy of mine grow his business from startup to a $300 million valuation in about 22 months, okay? And then from there, I decided to break off and start SoulGem Power, okay? And so going through these different lines of success and being able to scale, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in this space, are solopreneurs. How many are solopreneurs here? Quite a few. How many people have more than 2 employees? Employees, I'm talking W-2 taxed, okay? How many have more than 5 employees? 10, 20, 30. Okay, Tom's the only one with his hand raised now. So a lot of the questions I get, so I have 90, it changes every day. I think I'm like 92 employees. Once you get to a certain level, it's like, I don't know, you hire like 2 to 3 people a week. You don't realize what's actually happening. So how many of you guys would like to know, how do I scale to 8 figures plus using the Dream 100? Yeah. You guys down? You guys down for that? Where's my water? Is this my water? All right, thank you. So I'm going to share with you guys a few secrets, like I said, that I've learned along the way, that I've seen 3 different organizations use. One very large one, that's so that $2 billion company, they were valued that in 2012. I think they were valued between 10 and 12 billion today. And then that other company that I helped grow to 300 million. By the way, I was me, the founder, and one other vice president that grew all of that. They're valued at about $600 million today. And they were founded in end of 2014. And then my company, which we have a roadmap in which we're going to. So right now, with our private equity deck, we're valued somewhere between 80 and 100 million, and we're pushing it to get to $1 billion over the next 2.5 years. So I'm going to share with you guys some of those secrets and things that we have implemented really to grow to that type of level and to take the leap past solopreneurism, right? Being a solopreneur, there's nothing wrong with it, right? Like we've all gone through that. Like it's usually being a solopreneur is like the first leap into business. You know, a lot of guys don't initially go into a bunch of debt and get a bunch of partners and grow super rapidly. Usually it's like, here I'm a W-2 employee taking a salary. I'm going to go out and I'm going to start selling my service as a solopreneur. You know, Tyler yesterday, he spoke to us about, you know, being a business or a business owner, right? Where essentially you're just creating a job for yourself. And there's a lot of people out there that are creating these jobs for yourself. And so, but before, so this is really cool and glamorous, right? Like being on the stage with Russell, getting a $10 million plus plaque and all that stuff. But the key thing to remember is that it's rarely as it seems, okay? Like my story is as far away from this as possible. And really, you know, like that's the guy that used to be out there, right? The fat kid on the left. And the struggles and everything. Like I said, I started out in the door knocking world, and where I was successful in, I've always been really good at sales. Been able to go in, close products, generate revenue, generate profits, all that good stuff. So when I first was married, I went out and I knocked door to door selling pest control. Okay, pest control contracts, and we used to do it for summer sales, right? And over a period of 3.5 months, my very first 3.5 months, I made $65,000. I thought I was like king of the world, right? I grew up in a small town, like I said, of 2,500, and my dad was a school teacher, making about $55,000 a year. And we had 7 kids, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And up until that point, I had never made more than like $2,000 to $3,000 over a summer driving tractors, stacking hay, right? And going out and being able to like, whoa, wow, like I can actually go out and generate sales and make money. So I'm making $65,000. It was absolutely life-changing for me. In 2008, 2.5 years into my entrepreneurial sales career, I decided to start a business. And my story is much like Tyler's, right? 2008 was the worst year that you could possibly start a business. But, I was high on the hog. I had, any of you guys ever read E-Myth? Yeah. So I had that entrepreneurial myth, like, man, if I could do it on the sales side, of course I can just go own my own company. I'm already doing everything, right? I'm blinded by the stock market crashing. I'm blinded by the housing market going kapunk. Like all that stuff is just, I got my freaking blinders on. All I'm thinking is just like, this is what I'm going to do. So I do, and I'm like, man, if I'm going to go and do it, I'm going to do it big. I'm going to do it big, right? And so the first and foremost, I'm like, let's raise some money. Let's go out after it. So first person I go to, my father-in-law. Second person I go to, my dad. Both of them give me money. I convince them. I'm a good salesman, right? Like I said, I can sell freaking ice to an Eskimo. And I say, father-in-law, this is what we're gonna do. Give me $1 million. And then I go to my dad. Dad, school teacher, hey, I know you worked your whole life for this little nest egg that you have put away. Give me your whole freaking nest egg. Give me $200,000, right? I know you have, and at the same time, he had almost $1 million in the stock market that depleted in half because it was 2008. And I'm like, dude, I'm better in the stock market. I'm better in the stock market. Give me $200,000, okay? So I go and raise $1.2 million. And at the time, like I said, $200,000 was probably more to my dad than it was to my father-in-law. My father-in-law was a successful dairy farmer. Shout out to the dairy farmers in Wisconsin. Whoop, whoop. And so I go and raise this money, and we just make terrible mistakes from day one. So let me talk about some of those mistakes. So mistakes that I made, okay? And this is so important. I want to help you skip over some of the pitfalls that I made. I learned so much. Like this was a really expensive education, and so I hope to share with you. So one, the partnerships. So for me, I'm a partner guy. Like I understand the value of a partner. There are very few people in the world that have become worth $1 billion without a partner, right? Whether they're a partner with the market, whether they're a partner with someone else, they have someone else that has equity in the position. Like I know of 0 people that have been a solopreneur billionaire, right? 0. And that's what I'm going for, okay? So I knew I needed to get into a partnership. Poor partnerships are the devil, right? The devil. So I was completely blinded. I'm like, so I'm at this alarm. So we started an alarm company. We're selling home security door to door in multiple states. And I select my two partners from the previous company. And I'm like, well, you're a regional manager here. I'm a regional manager. You're a regional manager. Let's just all go start our own company, right? And, we didn't vet each other out. We had a little bit of experience together. But we had that classic E-myth, entrepreneur myth going in. We're like lovey-dovey. Everybody's in the honeymoon state. I'm going to talk a little bit about this. But, when you first start a business, there's always going to be a honeymoon state, okay? Where everyone thinks everyone's intentions are fantastic, right? We're going to take over the freaking world. We're going to dominate. We're going to make so much money together. You're going to be great. You're going to show up to work every day. I'm going to be great, and I'm going to show up. You're going to pull your equal weight. It's going to be fair. Everybody laughs because they know that ain't true, right? So, so I go in and I have these two partners. My father-in-law is a fourth partner. My dad is a fifth partner. Okay, they're silent partners. They're just investors into the business. And my first partner, he stopped showing up to work every day. Yet I'm young. Okay, this is 2008. I'm 24 years old. I'm stupid, right? Like I'm just like, don't worry, I'll take it. I'll take care of it, right? He's still pulling a salary, not showing up. So this same partner, fast forward a few years after our business failed, was put into prison for running a $20 million Ponzi scheme. Okay, right? So character of this guy was obviously not top notch. And then my second partner, his wife's running our books. And word to the wise, never let a wife run the books, okay? Embezzlement, it happens. It's real, okay? Like people take money when they have an opportunity, and they will justify it, right? Justification, everybody feels great about anything they're doing, right? If someone's a killer, they're going to be able to justify why they killed that person, right? And so embezzlement, so just poor partnerships, like selecting the right partners, and we're going to go into that a little bit more. Doing things to compete. Like we did the stupidest things, right? In our business, we got paid a multiple from a monitoring company based on how much we charged the customer per month, right? And so we wanted to do things to look so good in the eyes of others, right? So we wanted to look good to the customer. We wanted to look good to our sales reps. We wanted to look good to our employees. So to look good to our customer, we decided to charge less. Stupid, right? We wanted to be the most competitive price in the market. And then look good to our salesmen, we wanted to pay them the most. So all that does is margin up here, margin down here. This is your total margin, right? So, and that's essentially what really sunk us, was we just made terrible decisions. I'm driving the fancy car, go out and buy a brand new Mercedes CLS 500. I'm not even a car guy. Like legitimately, I own one car and a truck. I am a truck guy. I own a car. It's a freaking Prius. Okay, that's what I own now. But then I was like, man, I was trying to be a car guy, and I was trying to be a car. Like I wanted to look good to others, right? Like I'm just like, oh, I'm the CEO. Woo! Oh, you want a signing bonus? Here's a signing bonus. I got 1.2 million sitting in my bank, And so there was just so many terrible decisions. Take that, and then you get the economy that compounds it, right? All of a sudden, people started losing their homes. No more people are buying security systems, right? Our monitoring company that buys our contracts that we're selling every single day says, hey, Chris, we can only buy 100 a month now. But we need 120 to break even. Sorry, we can only buy 100. Oh, and remember that non-compete? Yeah, you can't sell to anybody else. Holy what? I need 120 to break even? I can't sell anybody else, and you're capping me out at 100 a month? What am I going to do? Now, the only way that we had around it was that we had to move out of markets that they weren't in. We had 6 different offices located throughout the U.S. We're making poor decisions. The economy's crashing down on us, and things are just, shiz is hitting the fan. And then all of a sudden, I get hit with a $500,000 equipment bill because my bookkeeper, aka my partner's wife, wasn't paying the equipment bill. Somehow the money was going somewhere else. And guess whose name's on it? This guy, because I'm the only one that had the good credit. And so we always made a pact with each other. It's like, hey, if shiz hits the fan, we're going to go out and run our own markets and get the company back on the table. And shiz hit the fan. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go out. And everybody's like, all right. I'm like, are you not going to go run an office? Do what we said we were going to do? I'll just make sure that the company stays afloat. And then, like I said, I had a partner that wasn't showing up. And like I freaking put everything I had to keep this company afloat. I wanted to keep my personal credit good. I wanted to do everything. So I go and convince my now business partner, Daryl Kelly. I say, Daryl, hey, I know you're not part of this company, but dude, you want to come run an office with me? We got to keep things afloat. So we go and we move. We're based in Utah. We move up to the state of Washington, and we launch. And me and Daryl are taking just enough money every single week to essentially pay our bills, just barely. And we're sending $30,000 to $40,000 a week down to our office down in Utah to keep things afloat, pay the bills, pay salaries to these guys that aren't even doing anything. And finally, it just came to a point where I couldn't do it anymore. And I remember I paid off a small American Express bill. I'm just like, dude, what am I doing? Like, I got this equipment company coming after me for $500,000. We're late on our lease. Our big stupid lease, right? We rented out the big nice building down in Utah. It had waterfalls. It had everything. It was cool. Once again, we were making decisions to look good to others. It wasn't good business decisions. Like, too many of us freaking make terrible decisions so we can impress people that don't even care about us. And it finally came down to we just could not do it anymore. And I wrestled with the idea of filing bankruptcy, and it was just it was all coming crashing down. I went and met with a bankruptcy lawyer and decided that was really the only way that we could get out of the foreseeable future. We were not coming to flow. While I was up in Washington, my partner that was supposed to be running these other 5 offices literally let it all fall. They all stopped producing. They all just hit the fan. It was just us on this island. And I finally made the decision that I had to file bankruptcy. And I still remember the night that I went to my father-in-law. And we were renting, so we had left our house down in Utah and we were renting that out. And we were renting a house from my in-laws up in Washington. So I'm in complete this guy's mercy. And he's sitting on my couch. And I go up to him and I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. I've lost all your money. I made terrible decisions. And I had no idea what to tell him. And of course, he wants to know, well, am I going to get my money? I'm just like, dude, I don't know. Legally, no. So that was November of 2010. So I decided to file bankruptcy, and I started working through the process. It took about 2 months. January 26, 2011 was the day that my bankruptcy was filed. December, a month prior, the thing is we had figured out what worked. Like, we knew these terrible decisions I had made, and I knew the partner that I needed to go into business with. I knew that I didn't need to do things to compete. I knew that I needed to have healthy margins and do things that just dominated the marketplace and offered the highest price, highest quality product in order to fulfill. And so we immediately launched a new company right away. But at that same time, my Mercedes is getting repoed out of my driveway. I'm literally down to one car. My third baby was just born. And people ask, hey, what happened to your car? Oh, I sold it. I lied to myself for a long time. I could not come clean to people that what had actually transpired. There was a few people that saw my name in the newspaper because they make it freaking public record. And of course, they're the dicks that call you out. But for about 3 to 4 years, I did not embrace what had happened. I ran from it. I was scared. I was just like, that's not me. That's not who I am. Like, I am the small town farm boy that drives junky vehicles, that works freaking hard and is successful at anything I put my mind to. And what I just did was complete and utter opposite. But the beauty of it, so I have experienced zero, right? I had less than $1,000 in my bank account. Like I said, my car was repoed right out of my driveway. I literally had nothing in assets. I had to, so Tyler, you went through bankruptcy. Is there anybody else that's been through bankruptcy? It's not a fun thing. It's not a fun thing. You literally have to go before a judge and say, this is it. Yes, that's really my balance sheet. Like, believe it or not, I owe $2.4 million to creditors. Right? This is it. It is the most humiliating and humbling experience that you'll ever go through. But you know what the beauty of everything was? It really wasn't that bad. Like, it was terrible, and it was the worst thing that I've ever experienced in my life. But it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. And because of that experience, and I don't recommend everyone going through bankruptcy. That's not the point of this. Okay, I don't recommend going and making terrible decisions that are going to lead you to this, but I do recommend that you take this from me. That going to zero is not as terrible as your mind makes it think it is. And too many of us make decisions based off of not wanting to go to zero that keeps us operating out of a position of fear. Just like, oh, what if? I mean, how many times, I'm guilty, right? Goes through my mind, like, what if I fail? What if I go and spend this money? What if I spend this money on a mastermind and it doesn't work? What if I hire a coach and it doesn't work? What if I go into credit card debt and it doesn't work? What if I take these actions and it doesn't work? Like, there's so many times that we do that. But like I said, the beauty of it is, so this is the quote that I absolutely love. The highest reward for a person's toil is not what they get for it, but what they become by it. The highest reward for a person's toil is not what they get for it, but what they become by it. Let's go, baby. Because here's the reality, is I had learned everything that I needed to learn going through that experience, and I had zero as far as a reward for my toil, but the person that I became was like, holy crap. And I had two decisions to make in that moment. One, I could curl up and die and go back to the confines of society, right? Before I went into this entrepreneurial path, I was studying to become a doctor, and I was going to good school, get good grades, go and do an intern or go and do a residency and med school and all that, right? The whole confines of society. In fact, there's a guy named Dan Ellsworth. So yesterday, I told this story on Dan Locke's podcast, and it went live yesterday. And I dropped this guy's name, Dan Ellsworth. I play his words over and over in my mind. During this time when I'm going through all this failure, guy comes up to me in church. He's like, Chris, dude, why don't you just give up? He said, why don't you just give up? Go back to school, get a real job, and everything will be all right. So that was choice number one. I could do that. But instead, choice number two was, I could take everything that I've learned, see exactly what works, what doesn't work, and go and apply it to the real world. Go and take the risk and realize that zero really isn't that bad, and that I'm willing to go zero at any point. At any point in time, I am willing to go to zero. That is what separates me from every other entrepreneur. And I'm sure there's other entrepreneurs out there that is the case. But I am willing to go to zero. Right? And so luckily, glory be God, that I took that decision. Right? That I was like, Dan Ellsworth, screw you. I am going, like I wrote down, I heard exactly what words he said to me that day. I put it in my phone. I'm just like, dude, I'm going to read this every day. I'm going to read this every day just to prove that sucker wrong. That I'm not going to go back to the confines of society. It was at this point in my life that I realized that it wasn't just work ethic and it wasn't just skill set that was going to take me to the next level. And going back to the previous slide, I was out of shape. There was a lot of things that were wrong in my life. Really, my spirituality was probably the only thing that was holding me down. My relationship with my wife wasn't very good. In fact, she hated my partners. She hated the time I didn't spend with her. Like, I was just so focused on business and like living large and doing stupid things that I was putting her on the back burner, right? So, I started focusing on what I called ASEP, or what I call ASEP, ASEP. One is associations. So any relationship that we have, spouse, children, friends, family, people that we haven't talked to in a long time, started focusing on relationships. S is spirituality. Here, I'll write it down here. These are the four things. Once I started focusing on these every single day, it started changing my life. And the way that I saw this is I worked for this company called Vivint. They were the ones that went from 50 million to 2 billion and now worth somewhere between 10 and 12. And what I saw was guys that were in similar positions in life as me, yet they were being way more successful than I was. And I thought to myself, like, these guys really aren't that impressive individuals. What are they doing different that I am doing in my life? And this is what I saw, was that there was a focus on the four core aspects of life, right? So associations, spirituality. And spirituality, that's whatever you make it, right? For me, it's God. Some people, it's karma. Some people, it's a greater power, Muhammad, whatever. I don't know, right? But spirituality is a real thing that you have to come to connect within your core. Like I said, for me, it's communicating with my God on a daily basis, reading the good word, pondering, meditating, keeping my core focused, not letting money and everything else take me way out of whack. By the way, I don't think money ruins a man. I think money emphasizes who a man is. Right? A lot of people say money is evil, or if you get rich, you get whatever. Some of the greatest people I know have a ton of money, and they do great things with it. And some of the worst people I know have a ton of money and do terrible things with it. And this is oh my gosh, can't even think here. Economic, and then physique. So when I started to realize that I had to start focusing on every little aspect every single day. If I was not putting in time in the gym and eating right, then my body would not perform throughout the day, right? My mind would not be clear. I would not go out and perform. And how you do anything is how you do everything. Really, like if I'm not disciplined at the dinner table, how in the hell am I going to be disciplined with a relationship with my wife? If I'm not disciplined to get into the gym every day, how in the world am I not going to go and execute in my business when I don't feel like it? You know, yesterday Myron talked about, getting yourself to feel like doing things, right? And for me, self-discipline is doing the things you need to do when you need to do them, whether you feel like it or not, right? For me, it is creating the perfect normal day. How many of you guys have heard me talk about perfect normal day before? Anyone? So Dana, a couple of people. So here, perfect normal day, like this is what changed me. So perfect normal day is essentially this. If I had to live the same day for the rest of my life, if I had to live the same exact day for the rest of my life, would I hit all these goals, the goals that I have in association with this? Like I have goals for physique, less than 12% body fat. Right now I'm a little bit above that, okay? Will I hit my economic goals? Will I hit my spirituality goals? Will I have a good relationship with God? Will I hit my relationship goals, my associations? Will I have a quality relationship with my wife, my children, my mother, my father, my friends? Okay, if I live this day. And so then what you do is you take out a piece of paper, you write what your goals are in association with these things, and then you design the perfect normal day. We're not talking about a perfect day. Perfect day for me is sitting on the beach, sipping ice cold lemonade and hanging out with my family. That's a perfect day, right? But if I live that day for the rest of my life, I don't have any money, I'm fat, my spirituality's out of whack, but dang, my relationships are good, right? So, perfect normal day. I have to hit all of these things every single day. So then you start asking yourself, what time would I wake up? How long would I spend in the gym? When would I go to the gym? What would I eat? When would I eat? How would I eat? How long would I study the words of whoever your mentor is, right? How long would I dedicate towards my spirituality? When would I dedicate time to my spirituality? What would I do for my business to drive revenue? Revenue-generated activities, RGAs. Like that is the most important core activity of any business is your RGAs, your revenue-generating activities. When will I focus on those? Like a lot of times in business, we get tied up in the other things, right? Tied up in the nuances, making things look pretty or whatever. And at the end of the day, we procrastinated the RGAs, right? And so making sure that it's just dialed in, right? Every single day. And then every day is going to be a little bit different, right? That could be your Monday through Friday schedule. Your Saturday could look a little bit different. And then your Sunday could look a little bit different. Now you have a perfect normal week, a perfect normal month or whatnot. Now you have a freaking blueprint. So that when you're in the moment, and essentially what this does is you make the decision before you need to make the decision. Because when you have to make the decision in the moment, you are effed. Like you are, okay? Like, because if I have not made the decision prior and now I'm like, well, I could go make $1 million or I could take a nap. I'm going to take a nap. We automatically, when the decision is not made prior, we will always default to the easiest route. 100% of the time. 100% of the time. I know this. Like, just because I can generate $25 million a year doesn't make me God. Doesn't make me any stronger or weaker than you. We are all weak human beings that we will default to what is easiest in the moment if we have not made the decision prior to. So the perfect normal day is making the decision prior to. And then when you're sitting in the moment and you're not feeling like it, because man, there's a lot of times you just don't feel like it. How many times do you just not feel like doing something? All day. So many excuses. Well, 6 o'clock, my wife just texted me and said she's got food on the table. even though she knows we're supposed to not eat till 7. You know, man, I could do this part of my business, or I could do that part of my business. There's so many excuses that are good excuses, right? And the better you get at generating revenue and being awesome at these things, the better the excuses get, right? The excuses will always be fantastic. Excuses will never leave you, right? Your mind is just, for me, what I've learned as an entrepreneur is my mind is an external force acting on my heart. It's an external force, and when I can distinguish that things that play in my mind are not who I am, then it is much easier for me to make the decision in the moment. And so then when I'm in the moment and I'm not feeling like it, I ask myself 2 questions. 2 questions. What should I be doing now? Okay, I pull out my perfect normal day. I got on my calendar. Well, it says I'm supposed to be reaching out to some new recruits that we're trying to bring in to sell our product. Man, I really don't feel like it. I really do not feel like that. Okay, so what am I supposed to be doing right now? Boom, you see it on your perfect normal day. 2, am I physically able to do it? Am I physically able to do it? It's not, am I mentally able to do it? It's not, do I feel like doing it? Is it, am I physically able to do it? Well, my legs broke. Did my tongue fall out of my mouth? Did I lose my phone? Right? Do I have the physical ability to go and do this? And as long as you can answer yes to question number 2, then it's easy to go and accomplish what's on the calendar, right? So you do what you're physically able to do, not what you're mentally able to do. You just discipline yourself that I always do what I'm physically able to do. I'm supposed to be walking right now. I'm supposed to be running right now. I do not feel like it. I hurt. I'm fatigued. But am I physically able to put one foot in front of the other? I'm supposed to be asking for the close right now. I'm on the phone with a client, right? And they told me earlier in the conversation that they really need to talk to their partner. They really need to discuss it or do this right now. And I know at this point of the close that I am supposed to ask for the close. I don't feel like asking for the close because my mind is telling me that he doesn't want to do it. Am I physically able to ask for the close? Well, yes. My tongue is still there, right? My tongue is still there. Right? If it fell out, then I would have to, right? That would be the only situation. Your tongue falls out of your mouth, your legs are broken, your phone is lost, whatever it may be, those are the only physical impairments that are going to keep you from taking action. So you do that shiz. You just do it. You just ask for it. What do you feel? Right? Balls in the throat, ovaries in the throat. So we can put it on a Visa or MasterCard. Which one works better for you, right? So here's the thing, is growing a business and finding the right partner, you got to be the person that you want in a partner, okay? If you cannot do this, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but all of these things are connected. Every one of them. And I knew it for so many years. For so many years, I was overweight. And I struggled with it because I knew that it was part of this. But knowledge is crap, right? Action is where you got to be. I'm running out of time and I apologize, but I ended up finally just buckling down and getting my physical shape. I lost 45 pounds in fat, gained 20 pounds of muscle. I haven't been able to maintain that perfectly ever since then, but I knew that if I wanted to attract the right people into my business, I had to be that person. Money doesn't motivate. This is one of the most important things that I learned. I always had goals, right? So for me, growing up in a school teacher's home, 6 figures was, right? It was just oh my goodness, if you could ever achieve 6 figures in a year, you've made it, right? And so initially when I came out of the gates, $100,000 and then I get $65,000. And then it was $250,000 and I make $150,000. Then it was $500,000 and I make $300,000. Whatever it is, these goals were always just out of my reach. I was chasing the money, okay? Because it's a hygiene factor. Money is the scoreboard. It's not what you're doing on the court, right? Money is basically what happens because you do on the court so well, right? And it's just like oxygen. When you don't have oxygen, it's the only thing you can think about. It's the only thing. Where do I get the next breath? Where do I get the next? How do I pay my bills? How do I get my rent paid? How do I get, it's the only thing you can think about. But once you have enough of it, where your bills are paid and you have oxygen in your lungs, you no longer will think about it. I know it's hard if you're not in that position yet to even imagine not being motivated by money. But one thing I learned about 6 years ago was man, I kept going after these goals and they kept being away from me. And then I realized the true amazing successful people in the financial aspect weren't chasing the money, they were chasing something bigger. What motivates you, right? What's your why? For me, I want $1 billion, not to have $1 billion in my bank account. I want to be a billionaire to go and serve the people of the world. I want to go serve missions for my church. I want to take my beautiful family and travel the world and show them how the rest of the world lives, right? I want them to understand that we have it so good and that we need to stay grounded and really be appreciative of the things that we have in life. I want to go and freaking be the #1 solar provider in the nation. I want to win every freaking competition that ever is thrown in front of me because I know by doing those things, I'm going to make plenty of money. And it was as soon as I realized that if I just focused on the things that are true motivating factors, right? Being the best version of myself, having 12% body fat, being a great husband, being a great a father, going and influencing the world, being able to come and speak to wonderful entrepreneurs, that the money would be there. And the minute that I figured that out, instead of chasing money, I turned around and started chasing other things, and money turned around and said, "What?" and started chasing me. Right? And that is really what it comes down to. So, guys, I apologize because I don't have a ton of time here, but leveraging partnerships. So when you want to go and grow fast, you got to be serious about your vision. What are you accomplishing? Anybody that I get in front of, dude, we're going to $1 billion. $1 billion valuation as a solar organization. What? You're operating out of your garage. Yeah, we're going to $1 billion. Did you know Apple, Google, everybody else operated out of the garage? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's exactly where we're at, right? This is where we're going. You've got to be the person that constantly portrays the vision, okay? If you do not have vision and you cannot accurately portray it, nobody's going to follow. Nobody's going to want to build with you. Nobody's going to want to grow. The 2 previous companies that I was a part of, they had incredible visionaries. Todd Peterson of Vivint. The guy had built the thing from ground up. And the minute I sat down with him, I always hated the guy from the outside in. I sit down with him and I spent an hour with him. I'm like, holy crap, this guy's got a vision. This guy knows what he wants and he can conceptualize it and he knows exactly how I can fit into the picture, right? And that's essentially what you have to do. You got to get serious. You got to be able to create an org chart. Okay, and what this is it gives you an outline on how to grow your business. And an org chart, how many of you guys have an org chart? 4 of you? Okay. Shame on you. An org chart essentially is a roadmap. It's not me as the CEO and this person as the vice president. It's positions that is going to be how you grow your organization, right? And so the org chart, you got your CEO, you got your C-levels, you got your VPs, all the way down, right? What it does is you have to start with a 5-year plan. What will my business look like in 5 years? Now, it's really hard to understand exactly what your business will look like in 5 years, but you got to put a monetary value to it. So what you got to do is you got to work backwards. So if I want to be worth $1 billion, $1 billion, in my industry, it takes about an 8x multiple. Okay? So what that means is I have to net 125 million EBITDA every single year. In order to net 125 million EBITDA, how many accounts do I have to sell? In order to sell that many accounts, how many does an average sales rep produce? In order to have that many sales reps, how many sales management do I need? In order to have that sales management in place, what kind of operations do I have to have in play to fulfill on that, right? And it's different for every single business, right? So if you are making $10 for your product and you want to be worth, or you want to net $100,000 a year, and a sales rep can only sell 5 of these a day, right? So each sales rep is worth $50 to you, okay? You take that and you divide it into 100,000, and then you take how many working days there are, okay? Now you have, so let's say there's 300 working days, so each sales rep is essentially worth $15,000, right? And so $15,000 into $100,000, you now need 6 sales reps, or 6.5 sales reps in order to get there. And you've got to go and you build this thing backwards, right? And now you have a complete roadmap of where you got to get to go. And from day one, if it's you and a partner or whoever it may be, you occupy all 300 positions, okay? I'm going to be the 25 sales reps. I'm going to be the 10 sales managers. I'm going to be the COO. You're going to be the CFO. You're going to, all the way down. And then once you have that road mapped out, as soon as one person gets overly busy, where he can no longer do everything that he's doing, he can no longer carry all 60 positions that he's carrying, guess what? It's time to hire someone new to come in and take off a load of that. So now he's going to take 40 positions, and the new hire takes 20 positions. Okay? And now you have a roadmap of exactly how to do your processes, your procedures, your roles, your responsibilities, and you create that out for every single position within your organization. And now you have a vision. You have a vision of how you go and build. Then you have to identify your key positions. So one thing that has made us run so fast and grow so fast is that we go after big ballers. Ask Dana, we tried going after him. Big ballers. Alex, what does big ballers mean? So big ballers, sorry, I don't mean to make fun, but we go after people that produce high and that you would think that would never want to be a part of my organization, right? Like I go after guys that have owned their own businesses, that have generated millions of dollars a year, and the way that I target them is this. Hey, do you want to be a part of the next freaking Google? Right? You want to be a part of the next Facebook? Like, this is it. This is it. And I see in you what is in me, and we can go and grow this thing together. And then your key positions, you pay equity to. Oh, equity. Oh, don't want to give that up. I want all 100 of it. Like I said, how many billionaires do you know that have all 100 of it? 0. But you got to do this smart, right? You can't go into it and go after everybody and like 10% to you, 10% to you, 10% to you, 10% to you. No, you have to take care of it appropriately. So one, you have the honeymoon state. The honeymoon state is 6 months, okay? 6 months. So over my experience evaluating other partnerships, my own partnerships, seeing business, whatnot, this is the period in which you can identify who's in it to win it. Okay? Month 1, woo! Let's go, baby! Month 2, let's go, baby! Right? So, you're going to be able to identify, You never, if it's your baby and you have 100% of it, never give up any equity before 6 months. But you can put together a contract that allows them to work into equity after 6 months. Okay? So typically the way I structure it is my ownership, the initial part is going to vest at 6 months. No, there's a lot of companies that vest at 3 years, 5 years. It's not fast enough. If I want guys that are big ballers that are going to be a part of my company and go and grow it quickly, I've got to give them some form of bait right here. Okay? Second bait is at 18 months. And there's all different kinds of things that qualify them. Amount of revenue they generated, how many installs, whatever it may be, whatever the key, the KPIs of your business, the key performance indicators of your business are, you design this around it, okay? And you give them like 30 to 40% of their shares here, you give them 50 to 60% of their shares here, and now they have the ability to tie in. And then on top of that, I do a 3-year clause. If they bail at any time before 3 years, they lose their equity. What that allows is at 6 months, if we do a distribution at month 7, they participate in that distribution. And then they bail at month 12, they took a distribution, because I try to get distributions as fast as I possibly can to any of my partners. At month 12, they bail, they lose all future distributions. They do not qualify for a full earnout until 3 years in, okay? And here's the thing. This allows for total and complete buy-in. When you give equity to somebody, they will bleed for it. And it identifies the people that you want to hire and be a part of your business. If someone's not willing to work for equity, you don't want them. You don't want them. And I'm not talking about everybody in your organization. I'm talking about your key positions, okay? What does it take when we created the org chart, right? Who are the players that are going to drive revenue, take care of your customers, right? Who are going to be those key guys? And as you identify those key positions, you create accordingly. Now, obviously, sales guys are going to get more and whatever, your sales manager and whatnot. So in my business, me and Daryl Kelly, I told you about him earlier, we control 52% of our business. Okay? We each have 26%. Outside of that, I have 5 other partners that have 48% in the business, okay? With that, I have my vice president of installs, so he runs all the installations. I have my vice president of electrical. Let me give you an idea of this guy. 28 years in the business, owned his own solar company, convinced him to sell his solar company in California, move his whole family up to Washington State to come and be a part of this vision, right? That's another guy, okay? Then I have my VP of operations, my CSO, and then my VP of sales. Those guys are all super key players, so they participate in 48%. Every single one of them, and some of them it's going to be initially. Some of them you're going to be able to identify and go and headhunt. Other guys you want to reward that were with you from the beginning that just grinded without anything, right? Like one of my VP of installs, he came on making $12 an hour 18 months ago. $12 an hour. Last year he made, it was like $400,000. Yeah. Fantastic. Like that's what I want. That's where I want. And then what this allows me to do is completely leverage so I can come and be a part of like events like this, right? Because I have so many people that are bought in. Where I got this idea from is these different organizations I was a part of, they were giving out, dude, I'm telling you, like 0.5%, 0.1%, like I'm crazy. Like, and I saw what would happen. Like these guys, like you would offer them this crazy paying job, and because they had 0.1% or whatever it was, they would not leave. They're like, I bleed for this company. This is where I'm at. And I'm thinking, dude, what if I could just get some freaking ballers, right? And I could incentivize them properly. I know I'm over time. I apologize. But, and I could identify them and bring them in. And then it just opens up the world of opportunity of who you can create and who you can bring in. So you got to think like, who do I know? Who do I want to know? And then you utilize the strategies of the Dream 100 and going after these people, okay? And you teach them and you preach your vision. You bring them out. So for me, Dream 100 isn't necessarily giving gifts. It's having experiences. hey, let's go fishing on my boat, or let's go out ride motorcycles, right? Let's just go talk, right? And then while you're out there, like, dude, hey, you're bringing a ton of value where you're at. What do you think about coming and being part of this vision, right? And the people that we've been able to headhunt is absolutely incredible. Like my guy that went and opened our branch in Illinois. So the way we have our business structured is we have our main business, and then we go and we open up branches and we bring in equity partners of each branch. Okay, and so we do kind of a reverse. We do a reverse franchise model. It's similar to Chick-fil-A, and the way that is structured is they get 25% ownership. We maintain 75% ownership. We run all the back end. We teach them solar. We do all the marketing. We train their installation teams. We get everything going. The guy that I have out in Illinois, he was a franchisee for Papa John's. I noticed that he ran marketing very similar to me, the celebrity expert authority approach, where he was like, dude, I was like, for pizza? Like that's weird. And so then I started spending time with him and whatnot, and just like, hey, what would you think about selling everything and moving out to Chicago? And, just completely off the wall, boom, he did it, right? And then we're like, okay, what other businesses can we open up and share in equity? And so then as we identify other partners, instead of giving up pieces of the main business, we formulate additional businesses to bring in additional partners, and they run the show. Like we just opened up a distribution channel in which we go directly from Asia and we import all of our panels and everything like that, and we sell to other solar installers. And we brought in a guy. We said, hey, we can't afford to pay you a huge salary, but we will give you equity in the distribution. We'll give you 20% equity if you do A, B, C, D, and E. You run everything. We'll fund it. 80%, you come into the office every single day. This guy just sold his Amazon business for $1.7 million. And we're talking, like I said, people just like you and me that are already entrepreneurs, that if you can create the vision, you will get them behind it, and you will be able to recruit and leverage to way higher levels than you would ever imagine. I can go into hundreds of examples of this is how it is, and then it's just you're recruiting and you're portraying that vision to everywhere you go. I'm doing it right now, right? I'm portraying my vision. I'm saying, listen, this is where we're going. We're freaking creating Google. I'm not inviting you guys to be a part of it, but guess what? My partner down in Arizona, I met him at an event like this, and he reached out to me. I didn't even try to actively recruit him. He just kept following, like, holy crap, Chris, how do I get to be a part of this? Boom, he was a part of it, right? And so having that vision, distributing equity accordingly, like there is so much power in equity. Do not be afraid to give up a little bit of the nest egg, but you got to do it smart, right? You got to create a model similar to this, where they have to get through that honeymoon stage. They have to be able to earn out. They have to be fully bought in. They got to be willing to work for $12 an hour. They got to be willing to work for $40,000 salary or whatever it means, because they're in it for the higher cause, because they're tied to your bottom line. And it is an amazing thing. Like if I wanted to, I don't have to show up to work. Right? I show up to work because I want to keep pushing the needle. I want to grow past where we're at. Like if I just wanted to maintain where we're at with 4 offices, I'm good, man. I could go and collect a couple $1 million a year every single year, and then a buyout of whatever. Like, dude, sweet, right? But my vision is $1 billion. And that's where we're pushing, that's where we're growing. And so that's the only reason why I'm still involved in the company, right? And the reason I have that freedom and time ability is because of this. And so, guys, be the partner that you would want to have in your business. Go and develop, realize that every area of your life is connected. And that just like me, you can be up here. Like the reality is we started a business 18 months ago. 18 months ago. Before 18 months ago, I was making good money. I was going to helping grow an organization, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. Fantastic. But when you put in the time, the effort, you develop, and don't be afraid to work for somebody else. Don't be afraid of that. Like when I went back and I started building these other organizations, I looked at it as paid education. If I can make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year and learn everything that it took to get them to be that big, hell yeah, I want to be a part of that. This is way better than the current education system. And so don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid, and don't be afraid to hire employees. Because once you get your key positions on board with equity, then they portray the vision to the lower class, even if they aren't bought in with equity, right? Then it becomes easy. It's just like vision, vision, vision. Everybody in my company knows $1 billion, $1 billion, $1 billion. We're going after $1 billion valuation. How are we going to do it? What are we going to do to push the bottom line? Boom, 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 boom. Get them bought into your vision, and you'll be successful. That's it for me.